Hello and welcome to the Expertly German podcast, the podcast to learn German. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Expertly German Podcast, dem Podcast zum Deutschlernen. Taten sagen mehr als Worte. That is today's saying. Taten sagen mehr als Worte. So it literally means actions speak louder than words. So we would say that in German if it's actually really important what you're doing, not what you're saying, and then we would just say Taten sagen mehr als Worte. And with these words of wisdoms, we are going into today's lesson a little bit in the reverse order. First, I will teach you a little bit German, a German grammar topic, the genitive prepositions. And then I will say the news in German with the English translation. Cool. Let's start. So, as I already said, the topic is genitive prepositions, Genitiv Präpositionen. So we have a lot of prepositions after which we have to use the accusative case, den Akkusativfall, and also dative prepositions, Dativpräpositionen. But we also have Genitiv Präpositionen, genitive prepositions. And there are, I actually don't know exactly how many, but definitely like 10. But let's just look at the 4 most common genitive prepositions that I've picked for you and that really most people use in their daily life. The other genitive prepositions are a lot more rare. The first one is statt oder anstatt. You can use both. Statt is written with S-T-A-T-T, so a double T, and it means instead of. And an example sentence would be: Statt des Geldes gab sie ihm ihren Schmuck. Again, statt des Geldes gab sie ihm ihren Schmuck. So the translation would be instead of, right? The money. So here we have the genitive, right? So statt des Geldes. Geld in the nominative would be das Geld. But because we have the genitive case here, das becomes des. And also we have to put an s or es at the end of the noun. So not just des Geld, but des Geldes. So instead of the money, she gave him her jewelry. Statt des Geldes gab sie ihm ihren Schmuck. Cool. All right. So this is how you could use instead of. It's pretty straightforward. You just have to remember that you use the genitive case after statt or anstatt. The second one is trotz. Trotz means despite or in spite of. An example sentence would be: Trotz des starken Regens gehe ich spazieren. So, despite the strong rain or the heavy rain, I go for a walk. Again, here, trotz and then des starken Regens, because we have the genitive case here. And starken is actually an adjective, so the adjective here, because it's genitive, has to end with an en, n like North Pole. Trotz des starken Regens gehe ich spazieren. And we also don't say trotz des starken Regens, Komma, ich gehe spazieren. You have to say gehe ich spazieren. That's important. You could also flip the sentence and say ich gehe spazieren, Komma, trotz des starken Regens. That is possible. Okay, und Nummer 3, während. Während is during. For example, während meines Urlaubs bin ich viel Rennrad gefahren. Während meines Urlaubs bin ich viel Rennrad gefahren. During my vacation, I rode a lot of road bike. So it's actually a hobby of mine. I like to cycle, but you know, the bicycles with those thin tires, and we wouldn't just call them Fahrrad, we call them in German Rennrad, or in English road bike. Here again, während, after während, we use the genitive, so it is der Urlaub. And so it's not mein Urlaub, but während meines Urlaubs, bin ich viel Rennrad gefahren. And that is a sentence in the perfect, in the present perfect, so using the past. And number 4, wegen. Wegen is because of. So we could, for example, say, wegen meiner guten Schulnoten konnte ich meinen Traumberuf bekommen. So because of my good school grades, I was able to get my dream job. And here, wegen meiner guten Schulnoten. So here, Schulnoten is plural. So school grades. So that's why guten also gets an en here at the end. And then it's not wegen wegen meine, but it's wegen meiner guten Schulnoten konnte ich meinen Traumberuf bekommen. Okay, let's recap them again. So we have 4 of those very common genitive prepositions. The first one I mentioned was statt or anstatt. You can use both. That means instead of. The second one is trotz, which means despite or in spite of. The third one is während, which we, by the way, write with an umlaut, with an A umlaut. So the A with the 2 dots, and then an H. So actually, let me spell it. Während. Während. And während is during. And the fourth one I mentioned is wegen. And wegen is because of. Try to use those prepositions, those genitive prepositions in your everyday life, but don't forget to use the genitive case after. Before we continue with the episode, just a little reminder, you can find the transcript of the podcast in the show notes below. Also, I just launched a 10-week program that teaches you German. There are 2 programs available, one for A1 levels and one for A2 to B1 level. And the good thing about this program is that I will send you material, videos, homework, and quizzes throughout the week when you join the program. And then in the weekly group session, we will discuss the topic that I've sent you per email. So this is a great way to learn by yourself and also to learn it with others and with me and practice speaking, but also learning the grammar at your own pace. I think this is really valuable for people who kind of want to immerse themselves more into the German language in various ways. And the program is also priced pretty well. So go to my website, expertlygerman.com, and click on 10-week program. Cool. And now we come to the news. The sentences are actually not that easy. So I'm trying to read the sentences slow, and I'm then translating the sentences into English. I'm not translating them exactly word by word because then sometimes it might be a little bit too confusing, but I try to keep the translation as close as possible to the original. All right, so the first topic is Belarus kündigt Militärübung mit Russland an der polnischen Grenze an. Belarus announces military exercise with Russia on the Polish border. So here you actually might have noticed that I said another an at the very end. Belarus kündigt Militärübung mit Russland an der polnischen Grenze an. And that an is a prefix because the verb is not kündigt, but ankündigen. But you have to separate those. It's a separable verb. Cool. Second sentence. Polen zieht Truppen zusammen, um Geflüchtete nicht ins Land zu lassen. Die Regierung in Minsk reagiert harsch und droht mit russischen Soldaten. So Poland is gathering troops to prevent refugees from entering the country. The government in Minsk reacts harshly and threatens with Russian soldiers. So here we have an zu, which means in order to. So that's actually the best way to translate that. Polen zieht Truppen zusammen. So Poland is gathering troops. Ja, und dann Geflüchtete nicht ins Land zu lassen. And then zulassen, zulassen is in order to let. In order to not let, actually. Nicht zulassen. So whenever you have zu, and then usually an infinitive verb after that. That means in order to. Next sentence. Nach der Stationierung von polnischen Soldaten an der belarussischen-polnischen Grenze reagierte Belarus. Belarus reacted after the stationing of the Polish soldiers on the Belarusian-Polish border. Der belarussische Verteidigungsminister Viktor Chrenin sagte in einer Videoansprache, dass Minsk mit Härte reagieren wird. The Belarusian Defense Minister Viktor Chrenin, I hope I say the name correct, said in a video that Minsk will react with a harder response. Die Kommunikation mit dem Westen sei inakzeptabel und besteht wohl nur aus Ultimaten, Drohungen und Erpressungen. So the communications with the West seems unacceptable, and it seems to consist only of ultimatums, threats and blackmails. Hintergrund der Auseinandersetzung ist der Flüchtlingsstreit der EU mit Belarus. So, background is the refugee dispute. So, Auseinandersetzung is a very long word for dispute. So, whenever you want to kind of make fun of the German language, that would be a good example. Sorry, again. The background is the refugee dispute between the EU and Belarus. Tausende Menschen aus dem Nahen Osten sitzen derzeit an der Außengrenze bei Temperaturen um den Gefrierpunkt. Thousands of people from the Middle East are currently sitting at the outer border at temperatures around the freezing point. So der Gefrierpunkt is really the freezing point when water freezes. Ja. Polen hat 15.000 Soldaten in dem Gebiet stationiert und einen Zaun als Stacheldraht errichtet. Poland has deployed 15,000 soldiers in the area and erected a barbed wire fence. So actually, a good word to remember here is maybe der Zaun, the fence. So you could use that also just for, you have a normal fence in your garden. Das wäre der Gartenzaun. Minister Schrenin sagte in Minsk, dass Belarus auf Einschüchterungsversuche und grundlose Beschuldigungen angemessen reagieren wird. Minister Shrenin said in Minsk that Belarus will respond appropriately to attempts at intimidations and baseless accusations. Die belarussischen Streitkräfte seien in der Lage, die Sicherheit des Landes zu gewährleisten. So here we have the genitive case actually again, right? Die Sicherheit des Landes. The Belarusian armed forces are able to guarantee the security of the country. Notfalls auch zusammen mit unserem wichtigsten strategischen Verbündeten Russland. If necessary, together with our most important strategic partner Russia. Second news topic: Nike vernichtet Neuware. Nike destroys new goods or new kind of sneakers. Nike verstößt möglicherweise gegen deutsches Recht laut Bundesumweltministerium. Yes, that's one word. And that's the Federal Environment Ministry. I would say that's how you translate it. So the translation would be, according to the Federal Environment Ministry, Nike may violate German law. Laut Recherchen zerstört der Hersteller Neuwaren, die als Retour zurückgesendet werden. According to research, the manufacturer destroys new goods that are returned as returns. Unter dem Deckmantel eines Recyclingprogramms, mit dem sich Nike versucht, besonders nachhaltig zu positionieren, findet die Zerstörung statt. The destruction takes place under the disguise of a recycling program with which Nike tries to position itself in a particular sustainable manner. And here mit dem is actually a relative pronoun, right? Unter dem Deckmantel eines Recyclingprogramms, that's genitive, and then mit dem, with which. Nike Grind nennt sich das Nachhaltigkeitsprogramm. Nike Grind is the name of the sustainability program. So, die Nachhaltigkeit is the sustainability. And actually, Programm in German, we write with a double M. And in English, I think you just write it with one M. Dieses Programm soll eigentlich dafür stehen, dass alte Schuhe recycelt werden und diese dann zum Beispiel zu Sportplatzbelegen verarbeitet werden. This program should actually stand for the fact that old shoes are recycled and then processed for example, into sports field surfaces. Okay, and this is the end of today's lesson. I hope this podcast helps you to improve your German. Please spread the word and support the channel. I offer a 10-week program, one for beginners and one for intermediate speakers. And I also give private lessons. You can find everything in the show notes or on my website expertlygerman.com. Cheers und bis bald!